She ran like the night itself was chasing her. Rain poured from the heavens, soaking her clothes, blinding her eyes, but she didn't stop. She couldn't. Behind her, heavy footsteps crushed the wet ground. Closer, faster, louder. Her heart pounded like a war drum. Every instinct screamed that this man was coming to hurt her, that if he caught her, she would disappear into the darkness forever. She was alone, terrified, and wounded. But just when her strength gave out, just when she collapsed, trembling, waiting for the worst, he knelt beside her, and instead of hurting her, he whispered 5 chilling words that shattered everything she thought she knew. Keep walking, or you'll never see morning. What he said next would break her entire world. What was she running from? Who was this man? And what secret was buried deep enough to turn her whole life into a lie? This is not just a story. It's a descent into betrayal, survival, and a truth so dangerous it was never meant to be remembered. Stay with me, because once you hear what really happened, you won't forget it either. The rain fell in heavy sheets, drenching the empty road that carved its way through the forest. The trees on either side loomed like silent sentinels, their twisted limbs clawing at the sky. Ella's breath came in ragged gasps as her boots slapped against the wet pavement. Her dress clung to her like a second skin, soaked and torn from branches that had clawed at her during her escape. Behind her, heavy footsteps pounded the ground, relentless, determined. He was gaining on her. She didn't dare look back. She couldn't. Her mind screamed with every step, run, run, run. She didn't know his name, only his shadow, his stare, his sudden appearance from the edge of the party where everything had felt so safe just moments ago. Now, nothing was safe. Her lungs burned as she pushed forward, deeper into the woods, the path narrowing, closing in on her like a trap. Her thoughts were jumbled, but one thing was clear. He had followed her, and now he was chasing her through a storm with no one around to hear her scream. A branch snapped behind her, closer this time. Panic surged through her chest as she turned down a side trail, heart slamming against her ribs. She nearly slipped, her foot catching a rock, but she pushed on. The forest seemed alive now, whispering secrets echoing his footfalls. Why was he chasing her? Why didn't he stop when she screamed at him to leave her alone? Lightning split the sky, and for a brief second, she saw his silhouette through the trees. He was closer than before, too close. She choked on a sob, the cold cutting into her skin like knives. She had to keep moving. She had to survive. Somewhere in the back of her mind, she thought of her mother's voice, always trust your instincts, Ella. They'll scream louder than any words ever will. Her instincts were screaming now. They screamed run, screamed danger, screamed that something wasn't right. Then her foot hit a root. She went down hard, palms scraping against gravel and mud. Pain shot up her leg as she tried to get up, but she couldn't. Her ankle twisted, maybe even broken. She dragged herself toward a fallen log, using it to pull herself up. Behind her, the footsteps stopped. Silence fell like a curtain. The only sound was the rain pounding the earth. She turned, trembling, expecting him to leap from the shadows, expecting his hand to close around her throat. But he stood there just a few feet away, still, watching. His face was partially hidden under the hood of his soaked jacket, but his eyes were locked on her. They weren't wild or angry. They were terrified. And then he did something that made her freeze. He didn't lunge. He didn't speak loudly. He stepped forward slowly, hands raised, and whispered, "Don't scream. Please just listen to me." She backed away, pain shooting through her leg. "Stay away from me," she said, her voice shaking. "I swear I'll scream." His voice dropped even lower. "I know you think I'm chasing you, but you're not safe here. You need to keep walking, now, right now." She stared at him, heart hammering, unable to process what he meant. "Why are you following me?" she cried. "What do you want?" He looked over his shoulder, then back at her, urgency rising in his voice. "You're not the only one being followed. They're coming, Ella, and they're not going to stop. Not for you, not for me." Her blood turned cold. "Who's coming?" He stepped closer, and though every instinct told her to run, her body wouldn't move. His eyes searched hers as he whispered, "I tried to stop them. I found out too late. They know who you are, what you are. They won't stop until they silence you." She shook her head, confused, disoriented. What are you talking about? He glanced back again. The rain drowned out all other sounds, but he seemed to hear something she couldn't. There's no time, he said, almost to himself. You have to move, you have to get to the highway. Take the path by the old well. Don't stop, don't talk to anyone. If you stop, they'll find you. Ella's mind spun. Was he insane? Was this some kind of setup? But something in his eyes, something real, something broken, told her he wasn't lying. Who are you? She asked quietly. He swallowed hard. I used to work for them, until I found out what they were doing to people like you. People like me, she whispered. He nodded, his voice barely audible. You weren't adopted by accident, Ella. You were placed, monitored, trained to forget. But they're coming to wipe the slate clean, and anyone who knows the truth disappears. Her legs buckled beneath her as his words hit her like a bullet. You're lying, she breathed. I wish I was. He whispered, now get up. You don't have long. Then, without warning, he turned and vanished into the trees. Ella sat frozen, the world spinning, the pain in her ankle nothing compared to the storm of fear now flooding her chest. She didn't know what to believe. Was he a savior, a traitor, a madman? But deep in her bones, she knew one thing. Something had just shifted. Whatever life she thought she had, whatever truth she believed, it was all about to shatter. She pulled herself up, limping toward the path he'd mentioned, every step echoing with his final whisper. Keep walking, or you'll never see morning. The words haunted her with every step. Keep walking, or you'll never see morning. They echoed through her mind like a curse. Ella limped down the narrow trail he'd pointed to, branches clawing at her arms, the ground beneath her slippery and uneven. Her ankles screamed with every movement, but she pressed on. Fear had overpowered the pain. Nothing about tonight made sense. Yet something inside her whispered that the man wasn't lying. The way he looked at her. There was no malice, no hunger in his eyes, only fear, desperation, and something deeper, regret. She moved as fast as she could, pushing past fallen trees and soaked undergrowth, until the woods began to thin. In the distance, she could see the faint glow of headlights from a highway. Relief almost made her cry, but then she stopped. Something was off. The air around her felt heavier, colder, as if the trees themselves were holding their breath. She turned slowly, and for a moment everything was still. Then she saw them, figures, tall, slow-moving, emerging silently from the shadows like ghosts. 4 of them, no flashlights, no voices, just silhouettes with blank faces moving toward her with mechanical calm. She stepped back, heart pounding, but there was no path left behind, only darkness and the echo of her mistake. She turned and ran, limping, stumbling, forcing her way through the brush toward the light. Her breathing grew sharp and shallow, every sound around her louder than it should have been. They weren't running. They didn't need to. They were hurting her, pushing her towards something. She reached the edge of the trees and spotted a dirt road curving along the side. And there, parked under a flickering street lamp, stood a car, black, running, waiting. She hesitated, her mind torn between fight and flight. But then the door opened, and the man from before stepped out. Only this time he wasn't alone. A woman got out from the passenger seat, her long black coat flapping in the wind. Her face was pale, expression unreadable, but her eyes locked onto Ella's with intensity. Get in, the man shouted, waving her over. Now, Ella didn't question it. She ran, arms flailing for balance, and dove into the back seat. The woman slammed the door shut just as the figures emerged at the tree line. The car peeled away in seconds, tires spitting gravel as it disappeared into the night. Inside, silence hung thick. The man kept glancing in the rear-view mirror, knuckles white on the wheel. The woman turned in her seat, watching Ella with piercing eyes. You've been activated, the woman said softly, too soon. Ella stared at her. What are you talking about? Who are you people? What was that in the forest? Who are they? The woman hesitated, then reached into her coat and pulled out a small, metallic pendant on a broken chain. She held it out to Ella. Recognize this. Ella took it, fingers trembling. Something about it tugged at her memory, deep hidden, like a dream she'd had 1,000 times but never remembered. It feels familiar. The woman nodded. Because it belonged to your real mother. Those words hit Ella like a hammer. What? You weren't adopted by chance, the man said from the front. You were part of a project, one designed to control children born with a certain genetic pattern. Children with enhanced neurological functions, memory retention, pattern recognition, perception beyond the normal 5 senses. That's insane, Ella whispered. I'm just a girl. No, you're not, the woman interrupted. You've always felt different, haven't you? Like things around you never quite added up, like the world was off. Ella didn't speak because, yes, she had. The man continued, the people chasing you tonight are part of the division, a private syndicate that controls the program. They monitor the children, control their environments, and erase anyone who steps out of line. We used to work for them, until we realized what they were doing. Your memory were tampered with. The family that raised you, carefully placed handlers. You've been living inside a lie your entire life. Tears welled in her eyes as her entire reality crumbled. The birthday photos, the lullabies, the stories her mother used to tell her to make her sleep, manufactured, programmed. Why now? She asked. Why are they coming for me now? Because someone triggered your original memory pattern, the woman said. Likely by mistake. A phrase, a location, even a sound could have unlocked it. And once that door opens, they send in a sweep, erase the subject, clean the area, silence anyone involved. Ella shook her head in disbelief. Why would anyone do this to me? The woman looked away. Because you weren't supposed to exist. Silence fell again. Then the man pulled off the main road onto a narrow gravel path, deep into the woods. We're almost there, he said. Where? Ella asked. To the last safe house. The woman replied, after tonight, you won't be able to go back to anything. Your life is over, Ella, but your truth is just beginning. They stopped near a rusted-out cabin. The man killed the lights and stepped out first, scanning the area. Ella followed, still clutching the pendant. The woman led her inside, locking the door behind them. The cabin was bare, but a fire was already burning in the hearth. The warmth hit her like a wave, but it couldn't reach the cold forming in her heart. The man turned and faced her. There's something else you need to know. Ella looked at him. What now? He hesitated, pain flashing in his eyes. I was assigned to you from the beginning. Her mouth went dry. You were one of them. He nodded slowly. But I fell in love with the little girl who thought the world was beautiful. I couldn't let them erase that. Her legs gave way as the final truth settled over her. The man who chased her wasn't the enemy. He was the only one who'd ever tried to save her, and what he whispered had shattered her entire world because it was the first real truth she'd ever been told. Ella sat beside the fire, the warmth licking her skin, but her insides remained frozen. Everything she knew, her childhood, her family, her very identity, had just been exposed as a carefully built illusion. The man who saved her now sat silently across the room, his head bowed, as if carrying the weight of every lie she'd ever been told. The woman, calm and calculating, stood by the door with a revolver holstered at her hip, eyes fixed on the shadows outside. How many others are there? Ella asked softly. Fewer than you'd think, the woman replied. Most don't survive the awakening. Ella gripped the pendant tighter. Her hand still trembled, but not from fear anymore. Something was stirring in her chest. Something fierce, something broken but still burning. Why me? The woman finally turned, her voice low. Because you're the last one they couldn't control. Silence stretched through the room. Ella looked at the man, the only one who had dared to betray the people he worked for to protect her. She saw the guilt in his eyes, but beneath it, she saw something else. Hope, fragile but real. I don't want to run forever, Ella said. I want to fight back. The woman gave a slow nod, like she had been waiting for those words. Then you'll need the truth, all of it. The man stood, walked to a hidden compartment in the floor, and pulled out a metal case. He handed it to Ella. Your real name, your real past, what they erased, it's all in here. Ella took the case and opened it. Inside were documents, photos, and a small flash drive. Her eyes scanned the files, images of her as a baby in a lab hooked to wires. Pages of test results. Reports written by scientists calling her subject 6FE. She wasn't adopted. She was engineered. Her heart broke, but her resolve hardened. "I need to disappear," she said, completely. The woman stepped forward. "We can do that, but once you vanish, there's no return. You'll be hunted every second by people who see you as a threat to their control." Ella stood tall, her ankles still aching, but her spirit stronger than ever. "Then let them come." She turned to the man, once her hunter, now her protector. "Why did you come back for me? You could have stayed safe." His voice cracked. "Because I couldn't live knowing I helped build your cage." Tears burned her eyes, but she didn't let them fall. She walked to him, placed the pendant in his hand, and whispered, "Then help me burn it all down." Outside, the wind howled and the night pressed in, but inside the cabin, something had shifted. The hunted girl was gone. In her place stood someone reborn, angry, awakened, and ready. Ella no longer feared the people who created her. They should have feared her.